Greetings, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Dreamscapes. Today we have our friend Josh from Southwestern Ontario, Canada. Hey, Josh.
Hey, man. How's it going?
I'm doing good. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you being here to share a dream. And yeah, as per my usual process, I'm just going to shut up and listen. So whenever you're ready.
Okay, sleep paralysis-related nightmare involving a gruesome murder of a nice lady who touched my foot while speaking with me nicely, and then soon after was not by my side. So that's what I titled it. I just figured it all out.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get to it. Okay. So, now this is a story. I woke up and this was from some time back. So, okay, so this was years ago.
Okay.
It was when my nightmares were really bad, and now they're not so bad, and my dreams have gotten better and a little more positive lately.
All right.
I woke up and there was a lady there, and a touch on my foot, and I heard a voice come from her speaking to me. Then, as she said that final word, she left my side by my bedside, where I was in sleep paralysis, or what I thought was my bedside, or something alike. This was during the sleep paralysis experience where my OBs take place. I then heard banging begin on a hard surface, and it was a banging of the lady who was with me's body. That's what I could hear. I could just hear the smashing of something to do with her, and I could hear every smash against that object or surface where there was because I can hear that. I can remember this really well.
Okay.
It's just a horrifying dream.
Yeah.
Was a splat with I woke up scared because I was dreaming. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So a splat and a bang is what I heard with every smash or of her whatever. Scream every time, and a gurgle of blood coming from inside of her body. I could hear all of the screaming, and the banging was so loud, and it was really a scary experience. I have to say, one of my top scary experiences. So it was really loud banging. I just remember it was really, really loud, and it was just disgusting, and it was a really mean thing, and it scared the shit out of me.
Oh yeah.
And I was just stuck. I was horrified, so I just stuck in there in my position on sleep paralysis, and I didn't move. I couldn't move. I was too scared of the man because he was a man. And so, anyways, maybe I could tell the story, the rest of it, right now because I just know the story. So I know it off by heart. But
Go for it. Yeah.
From here, let me just get back to the video. Okay. I just feel it was a very horrifying experience. So the man, it kept banging, and the gurgling and everything, and the splats and the blood and everything. I could hear it like guts. I don't know. It was just disgusting. And the screams, and it was really loud screams. It was like terrifying, like I'm getting burned alive. And it just happened for a good few minutes, and it was just until she stopped screaming. And the gurgle stopped going, but the splatting kept going, the banging for a bit, and then all of a sudden, the banging kept going for quite a few more bangs, and then all of a sudden it was just a bang, 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 but it was just a really loud bang, and it was just freaking, it fucks with me till this day, and it's just a scary ass dream, and anyways, he after the bang stopped. Then all of a sudden, there was a walking towards me, and I got scared, and I woke myself up, and I prepared myself in my dream just to wake myself up in a way where I just sort of opened up my eyes wide, sort of, and moved, shake myself into a waking state, and then I woke up, and I actually woke up out of the state when he was about there. So it was just a scary ass experience. It scares me to this day just thinking about it because it's such a tremendously scary experience.
For sure. Yeah. And even just thinking about it, you're getting these, some of the emotions coming
Chills,
back. The kind of re-experiencing the trauma of the bad dream experience, just describing it.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know how it even happened in my mind. And it just, and I always used to dream about murders. And it like murdering on my side and murdering on their side, but mostly murdering on their side against me, but mostly me fighting back as well, trying to protect myself, and in a race for life, just trying to trying
Yeah.
to protect myself, you know.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. And well, before I get into, I was going to start
And it
asking,
was always a
asking
war
questions.
zone. It was always a war zone. It was always a war zone, like in those dreams. Like this was for years. This went
Yeah.
on for years. So like, if to get more into more detail, this didn't just go on for like days. This went on for years. Like just like it was a story that built
Gotcha.
up, and it was like you've done wrong and you deserve punishment. They thought, and in a way in my dreams, and they felt
Okay.
the people around me were all sort of in unison.
Yeah.
It was like a story that kept on going, separate dreams, and it wouldn't stop. Same characters would show up in dreams and
For
say
sure.
like certain things that would come back and stuff.
Yeah.
Certain places I go to, I'd come back to in my mind, and it would be like lucid dreaming, and it was all lucid dreaming for years, and like pretty much lucid dreaming all the time. But I mean, not always lucid dreaming. Sometimes without lucid dreams, but mostly lucid dreaming. So it's just a weird mind that I have. I guess I get sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
I had sleep paralysis in 16, but it's not really as deadly anymore with my system. It's not like messing with me so much.
For sure.
It's an interesting thing to share, I think, on this chat.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And that's good for context too. The idea that this specific dream was in relation to other dreams where you were experiencing violence and felt like you needed to engage in similar behavior to protect yourself, and that you were feeling judgment as if punishment were being inflicted by someone who felt you deserved it. That's good context. So part of my process, or my actual process, is to listen once to the dream, and then we go back through it again in a little more detail, try and isolate each experience in order and get a sense of what's happening with that. So if we go back to the very beginning, the first thing you remembered was waking up in the dream, and there was a lady who was sitting on your bed, or just
No, she was
standing nearby.
beside my bed. She just kind of touched my foot. She came over to the bed, the end of the bed, and just sort of touched my foot, and then she sort of said something. She said something like light and at heart, you know, like something like she was my friend. And then she crept off, and then all of a sudden, this started happening, and I just heard it in the other room right beside me, pretty
For
much.
sure.
Just like
So
not my room, not the bedroom, but it was like close to me, and it felt like it was something similar looking, maybe to my place
mhm.
where I was sleeping at my residence at the time.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm sorry if I have to slow you down a little bit, just because what I try to do is get into your head. I want to see what you're seeing through your eyes as much as possible. So I get real specific with the details. So could you tell me a little bit about the layout of the room? Was it your room from real life, or was it a different kind of room?
See, I didn't open up my eyes.
Okay. So
I just felt that it was something similar to like past rooms, because I've been in sleep paralysis experiences, and it's always been like my place. Wherever I'm sleeping, it'll be like
okay.
that same place. It'll be like a repeat of the same sort of place, but different sort of things in different places. And rooms are kind of a bit different, you know, things are a bit different, people are different, but they look the same.
Gotcha.
Maybe some of them look the same, but you look outside and you go outside and it's a different place, you know, and
Yeah.
you start flying around and shit, and you know that you're lucid dreaming and it's a different place. You start realizing, hey, this is a dream, but at the start, it's like something in your brain is just telling you, hey, I don't even know what the fuck this is. Like, what is this? But in your
Yeah.
mind, you just catch on, and then you're like, for a second, you're all confused, and then you're like, wait, I just rolled out of my body and I just did this shit. I know exactly what I did. And they're trying to confuse you, the sleep paralysis characters, and in your face trying to confuse you and saying
Fair
like,
enough.
acting like they're a different person, like they're one of your family members. And
Okay.
then it's like, all of a sudden they'll turn into somebody else, and they'll all of a sudden they'll shapeshift into somebody else.
Yeah. No, that's a pretty common experience in dreams too. Things changing shape and form, and usually it's uh, the change itself is significant, but also what they change to and from. This is why I slow things down and I get real specific, because I assumed off the top of my head, you open your eyes and you see this lady is in the room. But what it is you never opened your eyes. That's something I need to know.
I just heard it all. I
Yeah,
heard it all. I
just,
felt it all. It
yeah,
was all close to me. It was like it was a real thing, real experience, but I was with my eyes closed. Couldn't open
gotcha.
my eyes, couldn't even move because I was in sleep paralysis, right? Like chained to the bed. And
Yeah.
I didn't want to move because if I moved, he was going to kill me or some shit. I just felt like, holy fuck,
Yeah. And
this is
that's,
scary shit.
and
Like I
all of these little elements
I
are,
was scared. I was scared to hell.
yeah. And all of these little elements are
Scared as hell.
important. The idea that you're in a dream having an experience of sleep paralysis while you're asleep, dreaming about being in a sleep paralysis episode, that you didn't open your eyes, that it was partly maybe by choice, because that was a way of protecting yourself.
No, this wasn't intentional. This was just a. Oh! I thought you were talking about something else. Sorry.
Gotcha. Yeah, no. If I ever start describing something,
I wasn't saying the right thing. I'm
if
sorry.
I ever start describing something and I've got the wrong idea, correct me, because it's your dream. This is your experience. I'm just giving my. Definitely, if I give you a piece of, if I try and parrot something back and it's not right, that's why I'm doing it. I want you to tell me if I'm wrong. So you're laying in bed and you have this experience, sensation, or just a knowing that there's a person in the room. You don't see them, but you know it's a female, and you know that they walk over to the bed. You can kind of sense that they touch your foot.
Yeah, you're right. I can sort of sense it. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's what I'm trying to understand. And they touch your foot. How did that touch happen? What was that experience?
It was just like at the foot of the bed. She just said some words, some kind words, like maybe like a goodbye. I don't know. Maybe like what I don't know what she said, but she just said something, and then she cracked off, and then. I started hearing the smashing and the screams, horrible scream. It was a loud scream every time there's a smash, and also every other time because she was just screaming repetitively. It was just like it was very gross sounding, and it terrorizes me to this day because like I remember.
Well, we're gonna get to that
Probably would give me
portion of
bad
the dream
dreams if I thought about it too much.
Yeah, well, hopefully from this experience, and this is why we're doing this, and this is why I'm willing to open this door with you and talk about this type of thing, is that hopefully by understanding it a little bit better, it will become less scary. The purpose is not to re-traumatize you, of course, but to get a better understanding of it so that it's less scary, shed light on it, bring it out of that unknown darkness and get a look at it, make sense of it, put it in its place in your mind. That's the idea. That's what we're going for. So, but of course, it's always up to you. If we ever get too far down the road in this thing and you're like, I can't do this, we stop. That's my commitment to everyone I talk to is, if this isn't working for you, we don't do it.
Yeah, it's been good so far.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we'll get there. But just give you an idea of the process and what we're aiming for.
Okay.
Yeah. So you had the sense that, and what was the touch like? Was it a shake your foot like, hey, let you know I'm here? Was it a gentle pat, or was it just she placed her hand there for a moment to let you know she was there and then took it away? What was that experience like?
It was something of sorts, but I don't know exactly what it was. That's just all I remember is just what I typed up because I can't remember it all perfectly.
Yeah.
Because that's I don't remember the whole story isn't in there,
Sure.
Right as of now.
Yeah.
Maybe I could open my mind up and figure it all out or think about it. It would come back or that.
Yeah. And generally going through this process, what we're doing right here, you're going to maybe remember some things, and I'm going to ask a lot of questions you don't have answers for, and it's not your fault. What I'm asking about is either there for you to give me or it's not, and that's okay. I call it rattling doorknobs. I rattle a lot of doorknobs that don't come open. There's nothing there. I was on the wrong track. I asked the question the wrong way. It's not a relevant detail. We're going to find out. So you did mention that her tone was kind words. You maybe don't remember exactly what she said, but you got the understanding from the way she said it and what she might have said, that it was a kind of goodbye, that she knew she was leaving and that maybe wouldn't be seeing you again.
Well, I would like feel I guess in my experiences I would sort of sense people around me, like my surroundings, just like an entity in the room or something, I would feel like I was being watched or something,
Yeah.
Some sort.
Yeah, but you didn't feel like this lady was threatening. She was Oh,
She was mood lifting.
gotcha. It felt good to have her with you.
She felt like family or something, and then this man just murdered her, and it felt like horrifying. It felt like that was
Yeah.
my friend, and then I woke up, and I woke up with this feeling like I was like so pissed off at the guy that did that. In a way,
Yeah.
maybe like other experiences. Like I don't know, I'd feel feelings in the morning after like these terrorizing dreams. Like
Oh, yeah.
playing out in my mind. Like I'd see them sort of play through, like again, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
Waking up, like I'd see the whole story and it would just come back to me and make me like,
Oh, yeah.
feel feelings,
Yeah, I don't remember my dreams too well,
scary,
but I know
scary
that I've
shit.
had some that were, yeah, that they left an impression on me afterwards, and that they were unpleasant, and I wanted to forget them as quickly as possible. And some of them you can't.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you can.
Sometimes you can't.
I don't know if you can see
Yeah.
in the background here. This is one of my cats. There she is. Hi.
I love cats because I used to have a cat as well. Yeah.
This one, we named her Wookie, but we just call her daughter. Yes, we have fur babies. We're those
Mine
people.
was named Lucky, and her and she was black and white.
Nice. We've got a couple black and white ones, a couple tuxedo cats, kind of medium hair. One's named Prince and the other one's named Princess, because why not? Gotta have a matching set.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, did you have a sense of how this lady exited the room? Did you hear footsteps and then a door opening?
I don't know exactly what I heard other than what I typed up.
Fair enough. Yeah, like I said,
That's pretty much all I remember.
that's okay. Did you have a sense of wanting to stop her as she was leaving? Like you wanted to take some action, but you felt you couldn't, or hesitated?
No, I didn't feel anything. It was like I didn't know. I didn't know anything about the whole situation, and then it all happened and it all unfolded.
Okay. So there was
Scared
no
the shit out of me.
sense of impending doom just in the goodbye itself, just in her exiting the room. It wasn't, you
And the
weren't,
goodbye and everything. Yeah, it was kind of like a whole ending of her life. It was like a. And then I had another dream playing through. I just remember this other dream where I was in sort of the edge of sleep state. Like I'd have these dreams, sort of waking dreams. Like I'd wake up and I'd be in sleep paralysis, and I'd sort of like hear things and see things or feel things.
yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, that's why I wanted to focus on that beginning. In that beginning, laying on the bed, did you have any other sense of, any other sensations, any other experiences laying in the bed there? Could you feel the blankets? Could you
All I
sense the
felt
temperature?
was just her hand, and it was like a room, and where I was, and there was a room beside there. Maybe it was much alike to the house where I was residing at. So maybe it was somewhat alike.
Yeah, those were two things I was going to ask you as well. Is you felt like this room was your room? It was a familiar place. You had no reason to think you
I
were
had no
somewhere
idea
else.
though.
Okay.
I had no idea because I never opened up my eyes, so I'd have no idea.
Well,
That I couldn't sense.
there's a couple of different ways of knowing, and I've actually been repeating this a lot to people, and it's good because this is something people need to know, is that knowing something in a dream, just having a sense of that's the way it is, and seeing something in a dream are absolutely equivalent. They are the same experience in a dream. So if I ask what you saw and you're like nothing, and then I ask, well, what did you know? And you're like, oh, well, I knew I was in a room, that kind of thing. And I knew there was a lady there. You didn't have to see her for it to be real in the dream sense. So that's what I'm getting at is any of those other, is there anything else you just knew about this place you were, what you were experiencing?
Oh, I knew that it was a scary experience. Once it started, I just had anxiety-provoking thoughts.
For sure.
Like about the murderer. He just sort of he brought on some thoughts that weren't like weren't anything but fearsome.
For sure. Yeah. Well, from
And
how you
I was just
described it,
very
yeah.
scared, and I felt like I needed to get out of there almost. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what I felt, but I don't remember the whole thing in full context.
Yeah, I got you. And I am, and this is tough to do with something that's really scary. I am trying to help you see that experience a little more clearly. We're kind of going back into it to pull understanding out of it. So that's the next step, is a little more detailed description of the unpleasant part, kind of how it played out. I don't know how much we're going to dwell there, but I do want to
It was
get,
a horrible experience.
for sure. Yeah.
It was a horrible experience. I just remember that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And the next thing you knew after she left the room is that the banging started immediately. There was nothing else in between, or was there a lapse of time?
Well, there was like a lapse of time before as she was leaving the room, I guess, and she may have talked to somebody, like the man, I guess, and maybe said something or something. Maybe he said nothing. Maybe he said something, but all of a sudden there was banging, and then there was the splattering sounds of her. It was just disgusting, and
Oh
it
yeah.
was a disgusting thought, and it was just playing through in my mind because it was so real and it was so evident that it was happening, because it was like real life, and it was sleep paralysis can be like that. That you can just wake up and then all of a sudden you're in a different place. It's like
Yeah.
it's like everything's changed and you're in a different world, and it's like it's not the same world. It's like people, but they're not real.
Yeah.
The way that we are, they're not the same sort of people. They're like supernatural beings in my dreams. I use supernatural powers, and I can like fly around and everything. And
Yeah.
and everything's kind of like there's a lot more murder,
Mm,
and it just happens on the spot. And it's like it doesn't matter. And there's more like evil things that happen, but it's like nothing happens about it. And it's just
gotcha.
what happens to good people get hurt in bad situations with bad people making.
Yeah. And that, I mean, not to draw conclusions, but the possibility exists that your dream life is reflecting what you see in the world around you, where bad things happen to good people all the time, and there's just murders.
No, it just doesn't feel that way at all, because it feels like it just feels I just the story I just remember that certain aspect of it is like it's a real type of place. And that's like what I always remember in my dreams. It's like the people in the dreams, they tell me repetitively, like dream after dream. I just remember throughout the years since I've started having crazy ass dreams. It's like it's real, and this is your main body, and that is your anti body, like the body that we're in,
Yeah.
And this is like your real body, like that's gonna last forever. That's gonna be you forever, and this is gonna be what's gonna turn into.
Yeah.
You eventually when you die and when you go to the afterlife or whatever, the spiritual plane of existence.
Well, that's a pretty old philosophical concept. I mean, I think it was a Chinese philosopher that said it. I don't know if I am a man dreaming I am a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming I am a man. And there's an open question of how dreams relate to the soul. That goes back centuries, thousands of years. And so if we start with the premise that there is an eternal soul inside of us, then that soul is awake while we're asleep, as much as it is awake while we're awake. In that sense, like the soul never sleeps, like the brain never stops processing while we're alive. So there is some sense that no matter what we experience, awake or asleep, it's all a part of us. And that if there is that eternal soul as well, it carries on after we give up our waking experience of being alive. And Shakespeare even said, and I've got one of these quotes in some of my videos, what dreams may come when we die, when we shuffle off this mortal coil and go on to experience other things beyond this physical limitation. So, yeah, I mean, these are some amazing experiences that I don't have answers to. I wish I could tell you for sure.
Me neither.
But yeah, but I don't dismiss any of it. Like I can't lucid dream. I don't know how to do that. I don't remember most of my dreams. Like 99% of my dreams gone. So that's part of my fascination with this as well. And I'm a little envious in some ways of people that can remember their dreams, and certainly people that have the lucid dreaming experiences, because I would love to fly Superman, take off into the clouds. If I could do that, in my dreams, I would do it every night. I sure would. But I don't know how. I can't seem to have that experience. It's just not something that's natural to me. So, it is what it
just
is.
happens naturally
Yeah.
for me. So it just happened ever since. Like, I don't know. Like, I've had like as like early childhood, even like I remember when I was 5 years old. Like I woke up and I was like rolled off of the bed and or whatever. I was moved into a different position, maybe off of the bed, and I woke up after a dream, and there's like a dream that I'll remember to this day, and I was like being pushed in the pool by a devil, sort of devilish beast, and I just remember him as like the devil because I thought he was the devil maybe
Yeah.
at the time, and I was just climbing up this ladder out of this pool, and it was a dark room, a big box room, and there was like a freaking a light coming out a door that opened. This man opened up the door for me, and he said to come on over. He said to get out of that place.
For sure. Yeah.
With the devil pushing me in the pool.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've had just a kind of long history of disturbing experiences in dreams, a lot of threatening, dangerous things happening, which kind of brings us back around to this.
And then it got progressively worse over the years. It kind of turned more dangerous, like more like murderous over like 14 years old is when I started having these more murderous dreams, like seeing more murders happening in the dream. In the dreams, and beforehand it wasn't really happening so much like that. It was happening in a different state of mind. It was like more positive. So this was like a complete change, and like when I started like maybe it was just because I started feeling the violence because I started getting stabbed and stuff in my dreams and waking up scared of my dreams and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'd have sleep paralysis then at 16 years old. So and then it would just continuously go on for years until early 20s. It's kind of stopped. I don't know.
Okay. And speaking of sleep paralysis, this is a dream where you're having that experience of, you're dreaming of being paralyzed in your sleep, or at least having woken up into a paralyzed state while this experience is happening around you. So as it was going on in the other room, as all the bad stuff and the banging, you still felt paralyzed. You couldn't move if you wanted to.
It was also the fear. I could have moved if I wanted to because I always did out-of-body experiences in my spiritual state. Like I'd always do that. I'd always like try to do this state, and I'd induce a spiritual experience in order to out-of-body experience at a certain point. But at a certain point, I started getting these experiences, and they just happen automatically, and it would just be like I'd wake up into sleep paralysis. I just feel and all of a sudden I'm in there. I'm in that different state, and I start like floating out of body. Or maybe I'm in a different state, but I'm in a nightmare, and it's like I start hearing the ringing, but it brings me to a different place, and then all of a sudden I'm in this bad place or good place. Yeah. But either way, it's either bad or good, and sometimes it's bad.
Gotcha.
It's horrible.
So in this specific
horrible experiences happen, but other times it's beautiful, and I have beautiful experiences. So I'm not going to be all negative.
That's good. I'm very happy personally to hear that it's not all bad for you. Yeah.
For sure. Happy to shine light on.
Yeah,
on you with that experience.
I appreciate that,
and also my position on that.
Yeah. So in this dream specifically, you were initially sleep paralyzed, but at some point while the bad things were happening, you did have the experience that I could wake up or I could move if I wanted to. That thought crossed your mind. The possibility seemed like it was tangible.
Well, the thing was, I was anxiety stricken, and I was like, I was provoked by the murderer dude to like feel scared. So I just felt really like a lot of anxiety, and I felt fear of him for my life, and I just didn't want to move. And I was at the point where I was terrorized to the point where I was still, and I was traumatized.
Gotcha.
I guess that makes sense. I was terrorized to the point where I was feeling the terror, and
yeah. And that's a good distinction for me to understand, is that you did not apparently have the experience of being completely frozen involuntarily. You had a choice, but that choice was still taken from you in a way of like hiding. No, it's run, hide, fight is our options. It's, fight, flight, or freeze. And freeze is the hide version of it. So that is a valid self-protective measure. You had a choice to make. You felt like you could not successfully intervene and that doing so would put you in danger. You chose to stay safe. As unfortunate as the circumstances were and what was happening. So it's good to put me in your shoes in that experience and have that understanding.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it went on. If you had to give a time frame for the length of the pounding and the screaming, 5 minutes, 2 hours, what would you say?
It was a disgusting experience, and first of all, and it happened for about 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes.
More so than the 2 hours. So I'd say more so 5 minutes.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's in realistic terms, that's sufficient amount of time for a human person to do damage to another and sufficient to cause their death.
It was very disgusting while it lasted, and I just remember it till this day because I remember it's going away, like it's fading out of my memory, but like I'm getting older, and it happened a few years ago or so, but it was disgusting, man. I just remember it as a disgusting experience, and I heard the splats were her body, and it was her head or her body. It was her and it was the dying and hearing everything. Everything was disgusting. So it was not a good experience.
I mean, the words you're using.
It was like a real experience.
Yeah. The words you're using are very evocative of your emotional state. Horrifying, terrified, frozen in fear. I mean, it's this awful thing happening to someone that was kind to you, someone that felt like family, someone that's being taken from you involuntarily. You didn't want them to go.
That's what it felt.
Yeah. Yeah, these are all the themes I'm getting from the dream. I hate to do it to you, but did you have any sense of whether there was a weapon being used, or this is just a person using raw brute strength to smash this person into the wall, into the floor?
Oh, this was raw brute strength.
And it was, did you know how the beating took place, whether it was smashing a head into a wall, the floor,
it was something of sorts.
Bodily
it was
thrown?
Something of the smashing sorts.
Okay.
Smashing body parts. And maybe it was a head. That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
I came to the conclusion that it was a head. That's the only idea I have nowadays about it, because I don't really know. But
fair enough.
I didn't see it, but I envisioned it in my mind because it was so real and it was so loud and it was so the bangings were the bangs, the whatever. It was loud. It was bang after bang for constant. It was a constant bang, and it was just it was like your head was being like bang. Like it was so loud you could hear it down the street. Like bang. Like he was no joke killing this woman, and it was just it was gruesome, and it was a gruesome murder. And then I just when he was coming towards me at the end, I scared shitless.
Yeah.
So I just woke myself up. I was terrified. I opened up my eyes really wide, did my thing, and shook my body, right?
Yeah.
Tried to wake myself out of the dream state, and it worked. And as he was walking towards me, he was getting closer, and then all of a sudden, woke myself up, and then I was up.
Okay.
And scared still, and I still remembered it probably for a good 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Very, very clearly, very vividly, and I typed it up, so I made sure that I remembered it because that's what I felt. That's what I did.
Okay, and that's something I was going to get back around to as well, because I remember that from your original description, is that at the end of the dream, as the danger approached you, you went from hide to escape. You were able to make that transition. You took that power into yourself and woke yourself out of actual sleep to get away from the danger. So there's something empowering in that as well, of like you were at least you're able to save yourself from that experience. That's a good thing. Yeah. So that is the second pass. We got a little more detailed. You gave me as much as you could, and I'm not going to pry for more because I think it's a little too disturbing to get any deeper into.
It is disturbing.
Specifics.
I don't want to get into it.
I know.
It's a disgusting dream. And you know what? I've got another one that's better that involves dinosaurs and caves and shit, and it's actually a fuller dream, and it's better.
That one's good too. Do you want to wrap up on this one first? We haven't really gotten around to interpreting it yet. That we just hit the description.
It makes a lot of sense. Sorry, I'm going too fast.
It's all right. You're excited about the process. I appreciate that. And you're wanting to be give me lots of useful information.
Exactly.
Mm.
Thanks.
Yeah. So now that it's been a number of years and you're able to kind of reflect on it with less trauma, still unpleasant, but you can actually kind of pull it out now and look at it. Having gone through it once, to just kind of give me the broad strokes, having gone through it again to get into a little more detail, did you have any new sudden insights about what it means, what it relates to as you were telling it the second time? Anything come to mind?
I just feel that it was like it felt like it was a real sequence of dreams that kind of went down around that time and around my whole life, and it kind of adds up like a big story, you know.
Sure, it was part of a larger set of dreams
Larger,
that all had the same theme.
larger thought, larger thing. So I don't know exactly what it is, if it's real or not or what, but they just the people, the dream characters, they always tell me that it's real. And then while I'm there, they kind of introduce me to the place and kind of tell me this is where you are and everything. You're in a different place. You're in this place.
So you actually have, as you were saying, more positive experiences in your dreams as well, where you're being kind of welcomed to the neighborhood and shown around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's friends like that woman, and then there's the enemy.
Okay.
People that aren't so friendly, you know.
Yeah, and
murderous people.
Yeah, and getting into
do disgusting things.
Getting into the context of it, you said this dream was several years ago, back when you were maybe about 14.
No, this dream actually was around maybe 20s, early 20s, 21.
Okay, so it was actually after, not after, but a long way into this general trend of disturbing and violent dreams experiences.
Yeah. But there's also a lot of good experiences to do with those dreaming experiences. So it was a mix-up of experiences to give you a better understanding.
Okay, no, that's good.
It wasn't all bad, and that's why I'm actually keeping my sanity from the experience, because it was horrible and it was horrible.
Oh,
that's
sure.
just why I remember it so well, is because these horrible experiences stick in your mind, and they just really are. You know, when it's disgusting and you can hear people dying and things. And when you see them, you see dead bodies and things in your dreams, it feels like it's real. It looks like it's like a real place, a real planet, looking like your own almost. It's like people that are doing different things. It's just a totally different planet, and they're all spiritual. Supernatural things happen, and knives still still stab people, guns still shoot people, and everything. It's still like people die in your dreams. In my dreams. Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty common experience as well.
Like it's all supernatural and beautiful. You know, it's not like you save yourself from death, that you're fighting another spirit and they win.
Yeah, that's a pretty common experience too. That while we're dreaming, we can't tell the difference. That's the dreams tend to feel real, but then every now and again you get those the lucid dreaming experiences, which still feel real, even though you're like. It's like knowing, the difference between knowing and doing. If I'm describing it, I don't understand lucid dreams very well, but from what I do understand, even knowing you're dreaming and then being able to kind of take control of it, it still feels more real. It still doesn't feel like a dream, if that makes sense. Has that been your experience?
It still feels like it's like a place that I don't know, and I'm still confused with it. And I still am confused with the people and where I am and everything, and I'm still wondering, what is this place? It's a miracle that I'm there, because I'm wondering what is this? It's miraculous. And you're just exploring, and I did a lot of exploring during the sleep paralysis states in my life. It kind of lasted years, so it went on many years, early 20s. So I mean,
lots of time to practice.
So, yeah, it's just it's an amazing. It was a practice. It was something that I practiced, and I just thought. And I even, I kind of know how to do it again if I were to do it again, but I just don't know if my mind will do it again. I don't know. Maybe I have to train myself. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
Yeah, you could play with it or not, depending on, I mean, if you want to, sure. I don't have any,
I
don't have any advice
good
on
and
that.
bad experiences, so I'd say it's 50-50.
Okay. Well, at least it isn't like 90% bad. That's, 50-50 is a good start, or at least not the worst distribution. What I was getting around to with asking you about when the dream happened was trying to put it in the context of anything else that might have been happening in your life at the time. But because this was part of a larger series of dreams that all had, not all, but 50%, as you were saying, had a lot of violent content in it, and that they seemed to start early to mid-teens, I was wondering if you could link the beginning of that cycle of dreams to experiences that you'd had at the time. Like, did you grow up in violent circumstances, or what was going on in your life?
I grew up and I was certain times I was in and out of I'm a schizophrenic, but I actually am diagnosed with schizoaffective as of now, but I'm fine. I'm pretty sane. Joking. I guess I'm totally sane.
As much as anyone.
The doctor approves of my sanity. I don't want to lie because I don't want to get it wrong. But I am sane, and I just joke around a lot. But yeah. Lost track of thought.
Well, the reason I think you might have brought that up is I was asking you if these dreams started in relation to real life experiences, and was that early age when you first started to have some psychotic symptoms?
Yeah, I was hearing voices, and I just saw the voices of my dreams become reality and become real people, and they were still in my head, and they were still like seeing and putting me in places and flying me around in certain situations in my out of body sleep paralysis things.
Okay. I think your video
there's a lot of like crazy stuff that wouldn't happen to every individual.
For sure. You're having a relatively unique experience that not a lot of people get to have or get to understand because they don't have it. So it can be very hard to describe. That's part of what we're trying to do, of course. So that,
right on.
Knowing that, before we got to this point, but leaving it in your hands to describe it, my thought was that, and you can tell me if this resonates with you, is that the symptoms, what am I trying to say? The onset of a change in your perceptive framework for the world, if I could put it that way. The idea that suddenly you were questioning being able to trust your perceptions probably at that time made the world feel like a more dangerous place. Does that make sense?
I guess, yeah, that makes sense. You're probably making sense of it quite well. I don't quite remember what it was like to experience it so well when it was at its worst, because I've been better for years now. It's been since early 20s. I got a lot better.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's
as of before from 14 ish. Obviously.
Yeah, and that's usually when it hits is late teens to, or mid to late teens to mid 20s. Like what is it? I think if you hit like 27, 28, certainly if you hit 30 and you haven't developed a lot of these mental health conditions, you're kind of in the clear. There's late onset for all kinds of stuff, but the bulk of it hits young, and it's a lot related to our changing biochemistry as we're going through puberty and whatnot. It kind of triggers all these, you get the growth spurts and everything's changing, and hormones, and we are massively complex biological machines, and all the parts are interrelated and react synergistically with each other. So one change and another change, and they come together, and 5 other changes happen, and we don't even have a really huge or a very firm grip on how that all works. It's the nature of science. We're trying to figure it out. So long story short, getting back around to my point is that it makes sense to me, but only if it resonates with you. But my thought was that the sudden change in reliability of perceptions would make the world feel like a more threatening place, because a lot of what our senses are threat detectors. They're designed to keep us alive. We can feel hot and cold so we don't burn ourselves. We can smell predators so they don't get us. That our senses, our eyes are tuned to seeing motion and picking out fine details. There's another fascinating thing that I forgot. I mean, there's a theory I think makes sense. Why do our fingers wrinkle in water? Why does our skin do that? What's the evolutionary purpose? And this one guy came up with the theory, and I believe it. I think it makes sense. Is that smooth surfaces are slippery, but if your fingers wrinkle, it gives you better grip with wet hands on objects. So the idea that our skin even would react to water by wrinkling up to give us a better grip is an evolutionary byproduct. I had a point with that. No, going back to the idea of talking about threat detection systems. So if suddenly your threat detection system, your processing centers for making sense of what is and is not a threat, get thrown into being an unreliable reality meter, this makes sense to me in terms of starting a pattern of dreams where danger is a prominent feature. Just hearing what I described, is that making sense to you? Does that feel like it may have started that trend? It all depends on whether it's making sense to you or I'm just talking out my ass.
I get what you're saying. Yeah. It may be that way.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm looking for agreement necessarily, or for you to elaborate on that. But just in terms of there's a lot of people who have experienced, say, some have some experience of violence in their dream, and they worry, does this mean I wish to commit acts of violence? And I am very clear with people that they're horrified that they would have this violent experience in a dream and worry that it says something about them, but generally it does not. I mean, vast majority of the time. It's in this case, it is sounding like, it's related to that idea of the world becoming a more unstable and threatening place because it's harder to understand. And I think that is maybe what triggered this return to a processing threat detection in your sleep over and over and over again. Does that make any sense?
It's a conception. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, I could say it a different way, or I can let you give me your thoughts on it. Again,
no, it works.
Again, I'm just throwing this out there. It's got to make sense to you. It's got to feel like a reasonable explanation. It's got to, I say it's got to resonate. It's got to harmonize with something you're feeling. And if it doesn't, then we might need to switch tracks and look at a different answer.
Let's switch tracks. Look for another answer, I guess. It doesn't resonate. I don't know.
That one's not quite, you're not quite feeling it. The idea that this, the general trend of the violent stuff came from the idea of, what am I trying to say? Just everything I've already said. That you're like, I don't know.
No, it's not so.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that's why I usually try to focus down on just one dream at a time. But this one is definitely in context of the larger trend. So if we were to
let me get into what I'm thinking. Okay,
please.
My what I think about this is through the years, when I have bad moods and when I'm going through bad parts, maybe worse times of my life than good times, than other times, I may have more nightmarish. And when I'm insomniac, maybe I'll and I don't get any like I am today, and I don't get very much sleep sometimes. Maybe that might cause sleep paralysis, or it used to, at least. It hasn't lately, but I mean, I used to get that, and it came along with everything sort of. I think I got scared of dreams because of the sleep paralysis, because it just kind of grew from its own sort of thing. So it was sort of like I felt that it was like a real experience, but I don't know how to relate it to reality because it's so different,
Sure.
and it's not like anything that I'd see in my
Gotcha.
daily life.
Yeah.
Wake,
Well,
being up, awake, and being in this place, being in this reality, you know.
oh yeah. Well, that's what I was going to try and do is I was looking for maybe a broader strokes answer for why these types of dreams over this period of time. I took a stab at it, rattled that doorknob. Maybe it didn't come open the way I thought it would. Fair enough. I do. It happens all the time. Coming back to the specific dream, you know, I look at the characters and the setting. And so the setting of, say, being in bed and having a sleep paralysis episode seems like a recurring theme. It's something on your mind. It's something that was very traumatic for you in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, the characters of, say, having a um, this woman that was a friendly person, and then having her be a victim of an unfriendly person that was coming for you next, and that you couldn't couldn't that you had to choose to protect yourself, and by not getting involved and then by running away. I think these are all kind of significant themes, and maybe the process, the brutality of it being something important as well. When you think of those characters and those themes related to that time period in your life when the dream happened, were you having some specific struggles, or considering some specific philosophical questions that might have?
I was going through a lot of trouble with my schizophrenia at the time, so that answers that. And I was in and out of like juvenile detention at like up to like 18 years old, and it stopped there, and I never got involved with it in that way. But like I dealt with a lot of like teenage shit,
Sure.
and like and that was it. It was just some fucking around shit, and then it kind of also had mixed with the schizophrenia, and it was more of a breakdown sort of thing through years, and it was sort of like something that wasn't good up to a certain point. So like it was definitely up till around 19 I started noticing changes then, but I mean it wasn't before.
Okay. And you said you had this dream maybe around early 20s, 21, 22?
Uh, yeah, right. You remember? Yes.
Yeah. Do you remember anything specific from that time? You said maybe you were having a resurgence of some symptoms at that time.
Maybe 22 more so, and then give it a few years kind of well.
Sure.
So
Had those
uh,
troubles mostly resolved by the time you had this dream, or was this dream still in the thick of those troubles?
it was sort of I feel still in the thick,
Okay. So,
sort of in my mind. It was never it wasn't better for quite a long time
gotcha.
since it started getting worse. You know,
Okay.
my schizophrenia.
And do you have any strong impressions from that time of um, because this person felt like family is how you were describing it. They were a kind, they
Yeah, like a
touched you
kind person for me.
in a reassuring manner to let you know they were present, but then they were kind of taken away from you. Did you lose someone at the
Yeah.
time? Um,
Well, I've just lost certain family members, but I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think it felt like it was just a real occurrence, and it felt like it had something to do with past dreams, and that's what it felt like. It felt like maybe it was something to do with my mood, maybe reflecting and from me, you know, to my dream self, and maybe also just things about my you know what I'm going through and everything. You know how dreams work, you know, and it just feels I was going through I was going through some hard times, so maybe it was just kind of reflecting, and it was showing me that I'm going through some hard times, and then maybe I need to make some changes, you know.
that's possible if that's what comes to your mind when you're thinking about the dream in the context of the time period that it happened, that you were considering making changes or working towards making changes.
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and then it all got I started at a certain point around 19 years old, like it wasn't during this dream that I started making changes, but like I just started making changes earlier, and I just started like I found a way to heal, so
Yeah.
I healed my mind sort of in a way and made myself feel better to a certain way and to a certain sense, and made my sanity come back when before it wasn't
Gotcha.
for so many years. So it just people thought that I'd never come back. It's a complete difference.
Yeah. And it's unpredictable whether or how someone is going to get through that, and how it's going to play out lifelong. Yeah, it's a big struggle, and it's hard on the person who has the condition, and it's hard on family and friends to try and be supportive, but don't know how, or don't have the resources, or don't just generally have the ability to understand what's happening and deal with it well. We've got a pretty big lack of common understanding in our culture about what different mental health conditions are and how they function, and what's the best way to be supportive and help people through the experience. Yeah, so that's one thing I tell folks, and I'll probably put this up later, but and flash on the screen. There's a book I recommend to folks that was written by a guy named Javier Amador, and I recommend it to family members of folks who are first having their first experience with a family member that has psychiatric conditions. And it's called "I'm Not Sick, I Don't Need Help." And it's about this clinician's experience with his brother, who was having a rough time getting a grip on what was happening to him and how to take care of himself.
You kind of got to convince yourself that you're better in a way.
Find that desire to seek being better. That's focusing our attention on a positive goal like that. I want to do something to improve my life. That puts you on the right path at the very least. That's like the first step on that path. That's getting on the path itself, is having a goal like that. Yeah, but the second half of it was this new understanding, which may have been partly brought on by a lot of different things you were doing. And it may, this dream feels to me like it's related to that period in your life, which that might sound like a no duh to anyone listening, but
right? Yeah, I feel that too. Yeah,
but
I feel it's all due to traumas kind of surfacing,
Yeah, and that isn't always the case with dreams. Sometimes dreams take you back to reconsider old situations.
Maybe the schizophrenia, and also the stress from the schizophrenia was causing maybe the bad dreams as well. And the fact that I was in that state, that like I was so out of my mind, like for years, it was just so bad, and I just feel that like maybe it came back to haunt me, way, right?
Sure. Yeah. And so sometimes dreams are directly related to specific experiences or kinds of experiences we're trying to process. Sometimes there's just an idea we're thinking about. And it's more, so there's like dreams about a specific experience, physical, this happened and I'm processing it. Then sometimes there's dreams about ideas, and we're playing out how we adjust our philosophy, our life philosophy, or perceptual categories. Here's one of my kitties. I can't see him on there. Anyway,
I love those cats.
This is Prince. Yeah, he's the one who consumed episode number 8. He stepped on the keyboard and that one got deleted. So
cats are great.
This is why I'm saying it seems like this dream is related to the broader period of time and your physical life, waking experiences in that regard. And it's interesting that in the dream you imagined yourself, or the experience of yourself was of this sleep paralysis that you were eventually able to break out of. So you've got this return of an old sensation of being powerless and trapped in your body, unable to move. You've got people around you that are comforting you, but then they leave and bad things happen to them. But you're able to free yourself by the very end of the dream, when the danger was coming for you. I think there's something.
And it was a lucid.
Yeah,
it was a lucid experience. So it was like I was awake in my mind, like I knew what had just happened in my waking life. So like in this life, and then my sleeping life, it was like that was also, taken over.
Yeah. Yeah. So it seems pretty strongly suggestive, I would say, that the idea that you're processing is close to, what am I trying to say? Close to looking at yourself and how you are interacting with the situation. Is that making sense?
Disgusting. Wait, what? I was processing the neck crack. I apologize.
Oh, so you had a neck crack?
Yes, it bothers me.
That's fine. I don't think I expressed that very well either. The what I was trying to say, I'm trying to get a kind of a conceptual grip on the broader theme. Like, what did this dream mean to you? What did it want you to see about yourself and your current circumstances? And then what did it want you to understand? Right. What was the conclusion of the story? Like, sometimes our brain doesn't guess. Go ahead.
That I wanted to improve my dreams.
That's a strong feeling you get from it, looking back on it now?
Yeah, that I wanted to improve my life in order to improve my dreams and make my life a better place.
Okay. I mean, now, is this an understanding you've come to from our conversation, or looking back on it over the years, even before we talked?
No.
You kind of drew that understanding?
Over years, just since like 19 years old, when I had this sort of revelation in psychedelics, whatever, sort of figured out like what my mind had the potential to do, and had more of a sense of that, and I just sort of got better through the years and all that stuff. Like, the DMT helped me out. So that stuff was spiritual too, and it sort of taught me like about like I don't know, like it was a different state. It was sort of like DMT was quite spiritual. It's quite spiritual. Like it's just like a dream. Like I saw bugs, and they were everywhere. They were all over me, and they were just appeared all over the floor. They were everywhere. Just like they were climbing up the walls and stuff. And this was my DMT experience, the whole DMT experience. Huh. And after I took the toke from the bong, and then I vaporized the DMT or the 50 milligrams or whatever I would have done, and then it just your mind goes to hyperspace and you see like a DMT vision, and you can close your eyes and see the closed eye visuals or opened eye visuals show up too at times if you do a high enough dose, and then you can see like bugs and different, or more than that, you can see snakes, you can see different things, you can see visions of like machine elves. I don't know. You can see different sorts of things, but it's like
I've heard of that before, the machine elves.
Yeah, that's what I've heard of. That's why I brought it up, because I don't know. I don't know what you're saying on DMT.
I have no idea what that is.
It's a totally different thing. It's nothing like this reality. It's like showing you about another sort of light in life that is out there that like should open up your mind to something, a new perspective, and should sort of show you that you're better than what you maybe thought you were by showing you how to better yourself and showing you what your problems are deep inside and kind of bringing them to your consciousness. And showing you that like you have these problems, this is definitely real, and like making it a deeper perspective, like in there, like making you get deeper about it. That's pretty much what the experiences are about. For me, they help me to grow.
Good deal.
With more of a compassion for life, and I just feel like more stuff like that when I take those things. So it kind of helps me to feel better in the end, and it kind of gives me like a life-changing experience. It's bettering. It makes me feel better about life, about people, about everything. It's like I give up on all my stresses for a moment. And I go, hey, so,
Yeah, for sure. That's sanity. If it's a good experience for you,
for sure. That's what it feels like for me. But I don't know why some people feel insanity and some people feel sanity with schizophrenia or schizoaffective or whatever you have. But I felt sanity at all times, and I just felt like I was growing. And what you were talking about too is what people with schizophrenia look at it like, and what people like the doctors look at it like, in a sense. So I'll bring that up.
Okay. So, do you feel like taking a second look at this dream, we've come to any new understanding that you didn't have before of the nature of the experience and what it was maybe trying to communicate? Did any new understanding come to your mind, or new perspective on it?
You kind of just opened up my mind to the dream and kind of gave me, yeah, you kind of opened up my mind to things. I feel we've had a good conversation, turned out for the best, and you have some good info, some good smart like things to talk about, to come up with like ideas, topics. So I like the conversation, and I like the things that you said and stuff. It's all been
Good deal. Well,
smarter than me. I'm not like a psychologist or anything, or any sort of
yeah, and you don't need to be, of course.
schizophrenic.
Like I was. Oh, he's gonna bite me. Were you gonna bite me? Don't bite me. Like I was telling you before,
Black
like,
and white cat.
as
Oh wow,
there he is.
I
This
love
is
those
this is
cats.
Prince. This is one of
That's
our tuxedo cats.
that's because yeah, that my cat was a tuxedo cat as well, so that's why I can relate, and I really like those cats.
He wants to get on camera, and now he's preening himself. He's like, "I am so pretty." That's what he says. Well, like I was saying earlier, too, is that hopefully by unfortunately digging this back up and looking at it again, this unpleasant experience, we'd get to the end of it, and it would end up feeling less disturbing overall. I mean, now that we've kind of gotten to the end of talking it through and relating it to your life, does it feel like the dream is
Yeah,
less
it
disturbing?
feels like you're just giving me a clear sense of why it's not disturbing in a way, because you're giving me a clear sense of, hey, this is just a normal thing that happened in your brain. You're just going through some things in your life.
I think you might have frozen up a little. Oh no, you're back. You're back. Sorry. Yeah, I
Oh,
appreciate
okay,
that. Yeah, and that's definitely the
okay,
purpose too. Is that to normalize the experience, but also to
right.
what was I trying to say? Demystify it,
hmm
de-traumatize it in a way where it's like,
And I was thinking along the same lines too over the years about these types of dreams, and that's probably what's led to these better dreams and less horrifying dreams lately. But it's just been the last year or two, or whatever. I've been feeling better with my dreams. Been feeling no sleep paralysis lately, as of late. So it's just been a lot more positive, and I just go to sleep every night, and I don't see the murders. I see like zombie apocalypse, the normal shit that I used to see. More
yeah,
positive,
and even having a dream, say
crazy shit.
about zombie apocalypse, it might be an adventure dream versus a horror
Yeah,
film.
yeah, it's more of
Yeah,
an adventure. It's more of an exploration, of adventure, and like this is a zombie apocalypse, and you're like a super creature, a being that has these powers. You can fly around the sky and shit, and do whatever.
I am totally
Lucid
envious
dreamer.
of that. Being able to fly in your dreams. I
Uh,
want to. I want it to happen. I wish I could.
I
I don't
love
know.
lucid dreaming. I love lucid dreaming. I'm so happy that I have. But you're like a really smart person, and you're a psychologist,
Thank you very much.
right?
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Smart person.
I know some
Yeah,
things.
that's
I
smarter
read
than
some
you.
books. I mostly I just listen, and I try and find out something useful to give. This is what I'm doing more than anything. And I think, not everybody maybe can do it the way I do, but I think everyone can do it. And I think you're doing it with your life too.
Mhm.
You give to the people
We're
around
all
you,
in the same.
just being a good person.
Yeah. I'm sort of following, like, I was reading the book of The Alchemist, just like part of chapter one. I just noticed it's a good book. I can't really I find like when I sit down and I start to read and stuff, I feel like I'm pacing around a lot and I'm trying to move around a lot because of the medication I'm taking. It's not helping me, but like meditation sort of helps, and it
Yeah.
helps me like read books and stuff. But like I just feel yeah, that stuff helps me to learn more about like how to look at life, how to look at it in more a positive view.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Our thoughts are intimately related to our perception as much as our senses are. That's kind of what we are. Uh, we're kind of perception processing machines in a way, and yeah, having a new
Right.
understanding can change the way the world looks to you, and that's makes a big difference on how you interact with it. So yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of that. And you mentioned like pacing around, and actually, in a lot of what are they? Churches, that's maybe not the right word for it, but they have these labyrinth walking paths, and it's not walled labyrinths, it's just tiles on the floor, and they go in a repeating pattern, and they end up where they started. And that was for monks and priests and whatnot to pray and meditate while they walk. Because sometimes walking helps you think. A lot of people say, I'm going to go for a walk and, and let my mind wander and see if I can get some new understanding. So pacing around while you're reading, while you're meditating is not bad at all. It's very useful.
Oh, really? I never really had that sense in my mind. I didn't really think about that.
Yeah, so it can actually be beneficial.
I just thought meditating was more for just meditating and just holding your thoughts on your breath and stuff and just staying still, eyes closed.
Yes. Yeah, and that's absolutely correct. That's more of Eastern mystic tradition of sit still and calm the mind and all this other stuff. But I don't always
sit still. I stop, I move. Certain times I'll get up to get food or drink or whatever, or use the washroom. But and then I'll continue meditating. I don't know.
Interesting, but there's different ways to meditate. Like a lot of times, what I like to do is do something with my hands. Some task where part of my mind is focused on manipulating the object or whatever it is I'm working with, and the rest of my mind is floating. It's processing something else but what I call percolating. Like you make coffee, the water has to filter and drip through. It just takes time. So there's a lot of different ways to meditate. You can meditate while you're putting together a puzzle. That's a form of meditation. It's not the traditional Eastern stereotype.
Kind of focusing on the puzzle, keeping your attention fixed on the puzzle.
Yeah, which is a way, another way to accomplish the emptying of the mind, because the only thing on your mind is matching colors and shapes. Very simple, physical, in front of you, and the rest of your mind is, what is it doing? It's floating. It's doing its own thing in the background.
Makes you feel smarter. I guess having fun times like that, doing strategic little things, playing video games. I like video games.
That could be another good way, especially repetitious video games that have the same set of behaviors over and over again. Yeah. What do they call it? MMO grinding.
Yeah.
So
it's great. I think it helps with my brain to grow and to be smarter, because if I don't play video games for a certain length of time, I feel like I'm not as good at the video games. So I want to be good at the video games. So like it feels like I'm smarter when I'm playing them regularly.
Yeah.
Keeping up with the motions and not stopping so that I don't lose my.
Oh yeah, and there's what is it? There's some cultural negativity towards video games, as if it's a waste of time, as if any hobby is a waste of time. If it isn't producing something, it's a hobby. It's just what you do for fun. But then there's a tremendous upside to it, which is it's engaging. Not just hand-eye coordination, motor skills, but it's also problem solving. It's training the center of your brain that identifies patterns, looks for solutions. So there's actually something valuable in playing video games. It's not building a bridge, but it's in the same ballpark of learning things and developing skills.
I think you get a smarter brain kind of doing a regular video game session.
You can.
I do. I actually can't deny it. I actually do feel smarter because I play these games and I train my mind in a sense, by playing the video game and just getting it, trying to be the best. Fortnite or whatever, and sometimes I win games in Fortnite or it's a regular occurrence for me, but not too regular. I mean, I'm not the best. I'm not gonna just a regular player, but I mean, sometimes I win. And I just feel it's amazing because like, wow, how did I beat like that many people in that game? Because some of these people are really good.
Yeah, and then for me, I'm on the opposite side of things. Like I am an absolutely horrible competitive first-person shooter. I'm just the guy that dies first every time and repeatedly throughout the game. So I don't even bother with that anymore. It frustrates me. I've never been good at it.
More of a COD? Dude?
I'm more of a cooperative PvE player. I like the challenge of, can we make this team work well enough to beat the challenge? I like that aspect more than the
Oblivion.
Yeah. Or two of my recent favorite games are one's called 7 Days to Die. I don't know if you heard about that.
I know that one.
You do or don't?
It's on the Xbox.
Yeah,
I know about it. It's on the Xbox. It's part of the games available.
Yeah, sandbox construction game where you can demolish and construct the environment, and every 7 days a horde of zombies come. So you try and build a base to survive with friends.
Oh, it actually does look kind of fun.
I like that creative aspect of it.
I was watching gameplay.
Yeah. So that's kind of my favorite kind of game. You're working together with friends versus a common environmental enemy. That's that's what makes me, that kind of problem solving cooperative team thing. That's what makes me happy. I like that.
My voice did some weird shit. But anyways, okay. So what I was gonna say, I actually lost my train of thought yet again. Go on.
Happens to me all the time. I call it having Swiss cheese brain. You know, you have the little holes in the Swiss cheese, and ideas and thoughts and trains of thought just fall right in.
It happens. It happens to me quite a lot. I get that shit.
Well,
it's something to do with my schizophrenia and everything as well. But I do get that sort of brain fog at times. It's like my brain just sort of like all the thoughts just dissipate for a moment. It's like wait, what were we talking about? It's kind of like I forget about everything.
Well, don't be too hard on yourself. It happens to those of us who are not technically diagnosed as well. So it's that you're not alone.
Yeah, makes sense.
For
makes
sure.
Sense. Yes, that's what I thought. I've had that for a while though, even before this.
Yeah. There's Alzheimer's, where you know dementia, specific kind of dementia late in life, and then that gave rise to the comedic reference to sometimers, like sometimes I can remember stuff and sometimes I can't, and then what people call CRS, can't remember shit disorder. That's not a real condition, but just like that's me. I
don't know.
I take notes. I write everything down.
To have all of the not remembering. It sucks because you're trying to remember something. I don't know. It just when I try to remember things, like even after I have that brain fog sort of feeling, and then all of a sudden it's like I can't really remember what like to a certain extent, like what we were talking about. It's like I forget about it.
Yeah, sometimes things come back to me and sometimes they don't. Sometimes that train of thought derails and it's just like it never comes back. Moving on. Speaking of moving on, though,
that's how I feel too.
We're about an hour and a half in. I think we did a pretty good job.
That was good.
Pretty good job talking about the dream and getting to a comfy place with the ideas involved.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, my dude. God bless, and thank you very much.
I appreciate that. And so what I want to do is wrap up the show, so to speak, and then have you hang on a few minutes after to talk before we disconnect.
Okay. Yeah. It was nice talking to you, and yes, it's good meeting you, and you are super cool.
Okay, thank you very much. And everybody out there listening who thinks, I don't know, should I talk to this guy and about my dreams? Definitely. Josh says I'm cool. So I am just going to say, hey, look, like, share, subscribe, look in the description links below I wrote a couple of books and I put some merch up on my website. You can get a coffee mug or a t-shirt, whatever. I'd really love to do this for a day job. There's always something else.
I love this guy. I mean, he's really good. He has a Discord channel, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you guys feel free to look in the description links for the Discord. Come say hi and set up an appointment. We'll talk about your dreams. It's what I do. So I'll just say, that's it for this episode of Dreamscapes. Thanks for listening.
Peace and love, guys.